Hey YouTubers, got another update for you on the Skybird thrower. As you can see, I got it mounted on a 45-gallon plastic drum on a piece of plywood, screwed that down to it. And I got the actual trap sitting on a pressure-treated 4x4. I had to shave it down to get it to fit. I still got to do some work on it, but let's have a closer look at it. See, I had to shave that down to get it to fit flush. Then just lag bolted it on. This is designed so I can just take this all in, put it into the shed when I'm done with it, so it's not sitting out. And it pivots right here. And all this is a piece of angle iron with a 1/2-inch nipple welded to it, and that's bolted to the front of the tank. Then this pipe stay screwed onto the front of the 4x4, so the pivot's on the front, which I'll get into in a minute. And this here is a clay holder I made. That's 25 clays. There's just a couple pieces of plywood. This is some of the anti-fatigue mat, just so the vibration doesn't break into the bottom clay. And these are actually from a different project I had. What they use these for is you stick them in your plants and tie the plant to it so it doesn't fall over. So I just cut them in half, drilled holes, shoved them in there, and now the clays sit into that. We go to the back here. Still got to do some work on this. I'm going to cut this off on an angle. I'll show you why. This is why I want it to pivot in a second here. I have a handy-dandy drawing. Now, I'm no architect, obviously, and I know most of you guys have probably already seen a trap field before, but what it is that tank is going to sit here, and 16 yards from that is station 3, and these are 9 feet from each other. I'm taking these measurements off the trap field we got at our club, which we can't use right now. So you can get all these measurements online anyways. Like I said, this is 16 yards from that point, and all I do is shove poles into the ground so I can pull them out to cut the grass. Just turn this way. So if this was the tank, what I did was I went online to get the angle, and what it is 22 degrees off center. Went to my miter saw. This is where you can see I got too much time in my hands. Went to my miter saw with the bevel gauge. Got 22 degrees. I went out, and this is just a scale of it. Got a piece of plywood with a 2x4. Used the bevel gauge. You got 22 degrees. Put that center of the tank. Put a pole here and a pole here. I took a string line across here to here, then out to the field, and I did it on both sides. So now we got this, well, it's 44 or 45 degree angle here. And what I'm going to do is take this and keep throwing the clays until they land into that 44 degree on either the hard right or the hard left. Then mark it here onto here, and that's why I'm going to cut it on an angle, so that'll be almost like a pointer. So you slide that over to the hard left or whatever and clamp it down, or slide it over to the hard right and clamp it down, then mark center. So if you just want to stand on number 3 and just practice straight aheads, like when I get a new shotgun, I do that, just keep it throwing straight so I get used to how that thing shoots and the point of aim and all that. So I still got some work to do on the release here. If you watched my last update, you've seen that it was raining. Well, it's finally stopped raining, and then the snow came, which is fine because it was a little easier. The rain is coming again, so it's going to turn into a sloppy mess out there. So I'll probably do another update on the release mechanism, how I'm going to redesign it and how I'm going to do it. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you. Hold on, not so fast. I managed to get out there before it started pouring. I got the angle, so I'll show you that. And I got some parts in the hardware store for the release mechanism, so let's get started. So what I did was I got it where I wanted, the tank, and kept throwing them out there until I got them straight and just marked where straight was. And then I did the same thing with the hard left, and way over there is hard right. So I just unclamp it here and just slide it over wherever I want it, or in between, and clamp it down so it doesn't jump around too much. And I got the clay holder mounted here. so it doesn't get hit by the arm. That should work out pretty good. 25 clays in that. Everything's all waterproofed again, so it should last a good while. And I got the foot release done. I had to do a whole bunch of finagling with that to finally get it the way I wanted it. How I originally had it on my other thrower was it would hook up to where the release was, and this is all clothesline. I had hooked up straight to that, then out to where the foot pedal was. The problem with that is if I had to step over, I kept tripping on the wire, so I kind of wanted to make something a little more tucked to the ground, but not on the ground. So what I did was, this has got to be replaced, it's all bent already. I left the dog chain on there with a clip, then through into the clothesline with a Crosby clip, and down to another eyelet on here, just to keep it lined up, then down. On the tank here, I've got a clothesline pulley. That's just wired onto that U-clamp for now, because I might have to move this or do something different with it, but anyways, goes over, then it will go down like the 16 yards. And this is all I'm using. I just take one of these milk crates and slide it over the pole, and this is the foot pedal, a couple pieces of 2x4, and the line goes through that, through a hole, through another eyelet, then it's got these really shitty pair of vice grips that clip it so it doesn't slide. And you just get it, so you just got to barely touch that and it sets it off. And I was shooting it into here, just empty, and it seems to work really good. I had to try to do it without the pulley, but it just kept binding up on that and on the corner of the plywood and everything else, so I ended up putting the pulley on it. That was my original thought, but it turned out to work pretty good. And I just took it out there and tried the elevation. Now, how I set the elevation is I went online and found what the ATA sets theirs at, and the way I did it, I don't know if this is good enough for me, is off the top of this platform, the clays are going between roughly about 10 feet off the ground, 10 yards off the front, and I got the tension down so they're landing about 55 yards from the front. So that's roughly right where ATA shoots theirs, between 50 and 55, depending on which website you go to. So I still got lots of tension to crank it right down. So one more modification I had to do, and I figured I was going to have to do this when I put it together, is this is the handle here, and I was grabbing a hold of this to cock the arm shut. And I pull this out of the way. You can see that bolt with the washer on it, that's the factory one. But instead of just drilling that hole, they actually slotted it for some reason. So when I was using this, of course, it started sliding back and forth. So all I had to do was do what they should have done, is drill another hole in the front of it, right through the handle, and then just put a nut and bolt on it. So now it's nice and solid. Another thing I see a lot of people is using these, the hardware store calls them wire nuts. We call them Crosby Clips, and they use them backwards. Especially if you're using more than one. They'll put one this way, one upside down, and another one this way. Well, that's wrong. And the way to remember how to use these right is this piece here is called the saddle, and on rope and wire, this end here is the dead end. So the way to remember how to use these right, doesn't matter if you're using just 2 or 3, doesn't matter, is you never saddle a dead horse. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the flip side.